We're finally doing this video, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another review of a Hiya Toys product. Today, we are taking a look at the female MUTO. It's here. It is finally here in my collection, in my hands. It's lovely to finally see this thing in person, let alone the fact that we finally have a high quality MUTO figure. Thank God. And this is my very first MUTO. I know they've made some toys of the MUTO in the past, but I don't have any of them. This is legit the first physical MUTO that I have. Basically a new monster, because I have gotten many Godzillas, clearly, many Kongs. I even have a Ghidorah already. I will be getting the Hiya Toys Ghidorah, but never a MUTO. So this is going to be a first for me. So that being said, let's dive straight into this review, shall we? Let's do it. First things first, let's take a look at the box. I can safely say this would be the best MUTO that is out at the moment. I don't know if there will be an SH Monster Arts MUTO, but I certainly would like to see a male MUTO. If Hiya Toys is going to do the female one, might as well do the male one. I would like to see the male MUTO with the wings and all that, so hopefully that happens after this release. So let's take a look at the package. So we got the Exquisite basic MUTO, pretty nice font here. I thought they were gonna go with the red font for Godzilla to mark the movie title, but this works. We got the choking hazards there, we got the Hiya logo at the bottom. I do very much like this artwork. You can see the soldiers who are basically holding flares looking up at this MUTO, and you can just see the scaling of how big she is compared to the average human. There's also a helicopter there, and I think the art cooked. Whoever made this design absolutely cooked. They clearly photoshopped the figure onto the art, but the background art does look really sick. I love what they're going with here. The flares really capture the horror aspect of it. In the back, you can see another photo of the MUTO. All the other info right here, barcode, and all of the other information and all the good stuff. Here's what it looks like on the side, and here's what it looks like on the top. And the same exact thing on the bottom. So, with that being said, let's crack this box open, and I am very anticipating this figure. I cannot wait to see this MUTO for the first time. So, let's stop beating around the bush. Let's get this box open. Here we go, people. I see it, and it looks fantastic. Normally, I speed this portion up, but I want to give some commentary as I unbox this. I mean, it is to be expected that it is going to be small, but at the same time, I can't say it does feel smaller than I expected. But I'm not complaining. I'm just I didn't really get that sense of scale that I did watching other people's reviews and looking at the glams. There we go. Look at this. That is the female MUTO. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is probably fresh out of the factory, so let's peel the plastic off. I would assume the joints are gonna be super, super tight. So give me 1 second. Let me get into a good pose, and then let's start reviewing. Wow, this is a first. I have to lower the camera so low that the tripod's literally on no legs. This is an interesting figure. This came straight from a factory in China. I ordered this from Hiya's website, and yeah, they shipped it straight from China. So I would only assume this is a super fresh figure. They just molded it and they stuffed it in the package. I am the first one to actually get this figure out of the package. So, which obviously that should make sense. But because of that, that means no one has interacted with this figure until me. So obviously, the joints are super, super solid. You can move them, but you're gonna need to apply some force. That's why I spent the last 5 minutes after unboxing this to just really get the joints warmed up and get the limbs going so I can actually show off some of the articulation, and most importantly, have this MUTO be able to actually stand up, because the way it's packaged, it ain't standing. It's gonna topple over. So you need to get all 6 limbs kind of just equally balanced out so the MUTO can actually walk like its MUTO behavior. It is a big bug. If you haven't caught on to what exactly is the species of MUTOs, bugs, pretty much. They're like big, giant bugs. And obviously there is the MUTO Prime, there is the Queen MUTO. This is just the standard female MUTO. And if the female MUTO is this small, I can only imagine the male MUTO being even smaller than this. He might be slightly bigger than Mothra. Now, this female MUTO is great for the looks. Look, the stiff limbs and the stiff articulation, it's solvable. All you gotta do is take a hair dryer, warm up the whole figure, and it will warm up the joints. But that means it's great for posability as well as playability. Texturing as well. It's not just for the sake of the color. You gotta look at the contrast, and the contrasting is very nice. You can see there's almost like brown shadings kind of contrasting the overall gray. I think it's pretty good. It's borderline gunmetal gray. And I think they were smart with, you know, keeping the overall tone darker so the contrasting stands out even more. Now with Godzilla, he's mainly just one color scheme with the exception of the atomic breath. But if he's just in his regular default mode, he's mostly just like gray. He just consists of one color scheme. Now you don't want the MUTO to look similar to him. They're not. They're enemies. They're different species. So they picked a much smarter color of gray here for the female MUTO here. And you can see as you go down to her legs, her front legs, the middle legs, her main legs, and even the tiny arms, you can see that it's consistent, but the contrasting is also consistent. You can see that it keeps the main gray/brown color scheme. At the same time, when you go to the front, you can see some of the contrasting of the whites. Now, in this lighting, it may not be too noticeable, so I hope my editor will up the brightness a bit so you can actually see the colors stand out a little bit. The only other colors, obviously, are the eyes. And I guess this is where my first bit of criticism is gonna kick in, which is the eyes seem really dark. You know, there's not too noticeable, and that could be an issue. In the movie, their eyes are bright, glowing red. The female and the male MUTO do that. And if I stand this figure from a distance, could you really notice the eyes? I mean, you can see it, but is it noticeable? That's the question. Unfortunately, no, it really isn't. And they do have pupils. They have a black pupil in their red eyes. It's not here. It's just that fully red color, but it's not really that bad of a problem. The fact that it's not that noticeable, even up this close, that's an issue. And I think that's definitely something they could have improved on for the sake of the coloring. And obviously, I think if they did the black pupils, that would be pretty sick as well. Now, because we're looking at the head, we might as well look at the mouth as well. You can see, you know, the mouth is good. You know, it's your classic coloring for the mouth. It's dark inside. And yes, of course, the jaws can open and close. So there you go, your first bit of articulation there. But if you look under the chin, you see the white contrast, you know, for the ball socket, but you can also see the coloring is consistent, so there's no ugly sides. You know, unfortunately, some figures have an ugly side underneath or in the back. Most notably, Playmates suffers that because, you know, obviously they're a lot cheaper. And another thing I want to point out is the egg sac. In case you forgot, this Mama MUTO carried eggs. That's not noticeable here. In fact, it's not even present on this figure. The egg sac is just your regular gray color. If you remember from the movie, the egg sac is transparent dark orange, and you can see the eggs inside. That is something I think Hiya definitely missed out on when designing this figure. They should have done it, honestly. Paint the sac here orange, and then just sprinkle black dots on it. And there you go. Now you have a truly accurate female MUTO. So they were this close. They were so close to almost having a super accurate MUTO. Unfortunately not. But is that really an issue? No, I don't think so. It would be nice. It would be nice for the sake of the accuracy to the lore, but I'm okay without it. Like, seriously, I'm not gonna look at this side of the figure too much. Most of the time, I'm gonna be looking at the figure like this. However, if you did paint it orange, you would probably see it. You know, you can actually see it from a distance, and even though it's not super noticeable, it shows. So you can see the accuracy. But if we're not talking about accuracy, overall, I'm impressed with just the colorings of this figure. Granted, the eyes could have been a little bit more brighter, but other than that, I think they are very smart with what they've done with the gray as well as the contrasting brown. So obviously her main legs are back here. So the articulation for these back legs, you know, is your usual. You can move it forward and back, even though it's stiff. I'm trying to warm it up, but it's doable. You can move it back and forth. Same can be said with the knees here. There's 2 points of articulation at the knees. So I guess this is like the back of the leg. That can be moved, and then the knees here can be moved. Again, super stiff, but it is doable. And the feet, she does not have claws for her feet. It's just your standard, like, I guess, muscle feet, if you will. That can also be moved. You can literally see the joints right there. I am trying to move it, but once again, it is super stiff. Just know it's possible. And I'm trying my best to show it off here, but it's not easy. And then obviously she has her tiny arms here. I don't think she's used it much. She's used it to hold the nuke to warm the eggs, and she's used it to swat away Godzilla. I think that's about it. I don't know. I don't pay attention to her movements. But these are the most articulable. Ironically, the tiny arms are the most flexible. They're not super stiff compared to the rest of her. And there is minimal, but pretty obvious articulation. As you can see, the, I guess, forearms can be moved here, and then her main arms can be moved in the back. So there is great articulation there. I wonder if you can hold like a toy nuke or toy rocket. I don't know if there's a toy nuke, but a toy rocket or a toy missile, see if you can fit that within her hands there. It may be possible. Move her head up and down a little bit, so you know she's looking down at the humans or looking forward towards Godzilla. You know, it's minimal, but it's there. Also, it's there. You can see it, but it's also very stiff. And there you go, I moved it a little bit. There's waist articulation too. So you can technically have Mama MUTO here turn in a way. You know, it's great for posability, but unfortunately mine here is quite stiff. Her main arms slash legs, I think she uses it for both, are obviously these four up front. So the middle one here has articulation as well. You can see up here there's a socket right there. It may be dark, but it's right there. So there's that, and there's also elbow movements in this bit. So there's a joint there, and then there's obviously elbow here, elbow movement here. She has many elbows. I don't really know what the proper term to define them as. And then her like claws, even though it's like one claw, her claw has a little bit of articulation at the end too. You can see you can move this back and forth. And obviously MUTOs have the EMP ability, so you want her to, you know, slam them down and create an EMP shockwave. You can just obviously imagine that. So the articulation allows you to have that imagination, which is good. Obviously the same can be said with the articulation on this side. You know, you got the elbow, you got the claw, singular claw, and then her front arm slash legs. Also similar. You can see you can basically spread them pretty, you know, the range is pretty good. Those are like the shoulders, quote unquote shoulders. Elbow number one articulation here, again, super tight. So gonna have to fiddle with it quite a bit. And then her elbow number two up here, and then her singular claws up here, which of course you can open and move it up and down. I don't know about open and close. The limbs themselves may be super stiff, however, it doesn't sacrifice much because it may be stiff, but after some warming up, you can really have some flexibility with the articulation and ultimately get some really great poses with her. I've seen some other reviews. I've seen people stand her on two legs and have all of her front legs here just spread out. You know, if you want to recreate her fights with Godzilla where, you know, she literally like punches him with her arms here, it's very doable. One of my favorite things I like to define Hiya is They are the fine line between SH Monster Arts and Playmates Toys. Because this is only 70 Canadian dollars, it's, you know, it's pricey. But you gotta remember the quality of these figures. SH Monster Arts has great quality. Sometimes they are fumbling with the appearance and how they look compared to the lore. And a lot of people complain about that, as well as the ridiculous price points. That's why people turn to Hiya, because of the affordability. 70 Canadian dollars for a pretty much high quality figure with lots of articulation and almost lore accurate appearances. That is definitely going to attract customers and people who are passionate collectors who want a good quality Monsterverse figure. Remember, this is like the first time in our modern day where we have a female MUTO figure. A MUTO figure, not like specifically the female MUTO, but just a MUTO figure. This one is currently the only MUTO figure we have. So, of course, I got nothing to compare to other than Godzilla. So here he is. This is not accurate, obviously. There is a 2014 Godzilla coming, but that's later this year, so I don't have it yet. And I guess I'll do the real proper comparison when I get my hands on that 2014 Godzilla. So this is obviously the new Empire Godzilla, 2024. And obviously 2014 Godzilla is a lot smaller, so yes, he's technically still bigger than MUTO here, but he's a little bit too big here. So this is the best comparison you're going to get for the time being until I get 2014 Godzilla. Here's another comparison. This is of course the recently released Emerald Titan version of Mothra. And I said if they're gonna do the male MUTO, he's basically gonna be like Mothra here, maybe a little bigger, so he'll probably be Rodan size. So far, everything I've gotten has literally been the same price, 70 Canadian. Mothra I thought was definitely too expensive. Godzilla makes sense for the quality you get and the size of him, so it's fair. Mama MUTO's case here, is 70 Canadian worth it for her? Honestly speaking, yeah, it's fine. Because you get some good quality playability and it looks great. And this is probably the only way you're gonna be able to get a MUTO figure for the time being. I really don't recommend the old toys. I've seen them. And I don't know what they're like in person because I've never seen them in person. I think this is great. Everyone who loves the MUTOs, every collector who wanted a MUTO figure for so long is going to be satisfied with this figure. Unless they're super picky about the lore accuracy, then they might be a little bit disappointed. So out of 10, I'm gonna give this Mama MUTO here a 8 out of 10. The limbs, I just need to warm them up a bit, and I'm pretty sure I can get some great poses for the thumbnail. I don't see a point in doing an SH Monster Arts MUTO because no one's gonna care. Everyone's gonna flock to this one, especially with its price. People are gonna say, yes, this is way more affordable. If Bandai does do an SH Monster Arts MUTO, you can probably expect it to be over $100. And not everyone's gonna be happy about that, so I am happy what I got here. I hope Hiya is gonna do a male MUTO, and when 2014 Godzilla comes out, then I can have a proper comparison compared to the more bigger 2024 Godzilla here. So, let me know what you guys think of Mama MUTO here. When I first saw the first reveal of this figure, I knew I was gonna get this. I was very excited to get this. You know, being a new character for me, never had a MUTO figure before. I'm definitely excited to get this. So now that it's here, I'm satisfied and I look forward to the upcoming figures. I'm more excited to get new characters, obviously, because they're new characters. That Ghidorah that I'm gonna go for next with the gravity beams, I have the SH Monster Arts Ghidorah, so I kind of have an idea of what to expect. But because I never had a MUTO, this is definitely a very eye-opening experience for me. So let me know what you guys think. And if you have the previous MUTO figures, let me know if you think they were better than this, or was this better? Hiya, you absolutely cooked. Thanks so much for watching this review. Of course, I compared this MUTO with Godzilla and Mothra, so if you want to check out their reviews, They will be in the end screen and link in the description. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. I did a lot of extensive research to get this MUTO at a great price. Ultimately, I landed on Hiya's official website. So yeah, I think it's still available now on Hiya's official website. If you're in Canada, I would highly recommend you get it directly from there instead of some of the other stores in the US because shipping is expensive. I paid $15 and this shipped from China and it came in pretty great quality if you didn't see my unboxing videos. So I think for this price, Hiya is the way to go. Just buy it from the source directly. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching. Check out the reviews and make more MUTO figures. We'll see you in the next review.